Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the weekly reading for the sign of Leo. Leo, you're up next. This is going to be for this November 10th to the 16th. And Leos, you've been having some incredible readings. You guys have been showing me a lot of love for my Leo tarot readings. So thank you so much. And of course to my regulars, thank you for stopping by. If you're new to my channel, we're going to get right into pulling out your 3 romance angel messages for the week. Then we get into pulling out your animal spirits, and then we go right into your forecast. All right? So, wedding situation involves a marriage, Leo. Getting to know each other as you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. All right, and calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, visualizations help bring you together. So, strong energy, right? Definitely a high sort of level of commitment there with wedding coming in. Let's go ahead and pull out your animal spirits. Now, animal spirits can come in the form of personalities, individuals, stages, and events coming into your life. They can be stages in your life that you're beginning to enter into. They can also represent energies that are becoming available to you to help you through a particular stage or path or an objective. And these are just energies that may or may not be in your life this week. All right, Leo, so just take what applies to you and go ahead and disregard the rest. All right, guys, straight out, we have the golden egg. Beautiful, strong ether energy associated with the heart chakra, all right, the 4th chakra. Then we have the dragonfly, lord of light and illusion. This is an air element. And then we have, of course, lovely lamb energy, earth element. Lamb can indicate the coming of a child, okay? So if you're getting married, you're trying to start a family, you may be resonating with lamb energy. Lamb energy certainly indicates the birth of something new, and oftentimes can indicate the birth of a child. All right, so let's get right into it. The golden egg is associated with the alchemical symbol for spirit or ether. In alchemy, we have 5 elementals: fire, earth, air, water, and ether or spirit. And this is, of course, associated with the heart chakra, the 4th chakra. It's the golden egg. And why is it golden? Because warmth. Warmth is what brings out and opens up the heart, right? Receptivity, being warm, being not compromising necessarily, but being warm with each other in the sense of allowing your emotions to be expressed, to be shared, and being in an environment that encourages the opening up of your heart chakra, an environment of affection, an environment of wanting to come closer to each other. That's what warmth does. Heat and warmth, in a sense, right? It radiates and it draws us in, right? It's the coming together of things that creates that warmth, and that coming together is what opens up the heart chakra. In a lot of ways this week, Leo, your heart is opening up to people, to events, to a stage in your life, and it's really very nice indeed. Now, dragonfly energy is, of course, associated with the mind, and just like the mind, the dragonfly is very shimmery and light and quick, fluid in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it's there, then it's not. The mind is that way too, right? The mind is associated with air because of that. The dragonfly is the lord of light and illusion, and so in this way, dragonfly energy comes in at a time when we need to take care that we are not being caught up in our illusions, that we are not being carried away by daydreaming, that we bring in a bit of more criticism, not so much criticism, but I want to say critical analysis to what's going on in our lives, right? So that we remain grounded. Not everything is as it seems. And this is what dragonfly energy brings in. It brings in an awareness that sometimes the way we perceive things to be is not that way. And so we have to always be critical, even with ourselves, right? never, go with the assumption that you absolutely know the answer to something, or that everything that comes into your mind is exactly the way things are, because the mind is all about perception, and of course illusions are part of that. And so trying to remain grounded, if you're in this kind of work that is really I'm going to say, for some of you, you can be in a field, right, where the work is kind of sort of causing a lot of confusion, right? It may be overwhelming, right? It may be too much going on, and you're beginning to not be able to tell, what is real and what is sort of like maybe not exactly the way it seems. It can be a time to pull away from that environment or pull away from that energy so that you can reground yourself. Now, Lamb is earth energy, and Lamb energy talks about gentleness, right? Something coming in, the birth of something new, the birth of a highly creative idea, right? The Lamb brings with it gentleness and quietness, right? There is a quiet that is required sometimes for creativity to burgeon, right? For it to come out and to grow. The Lamb can also indicate, like I said earlier, the birth of a child. Something that requires nurturing, but that requires a gentle nurturing, a gentle sort of prodding along, right? So that it can get on its own 2 feet. And whether this is a creative endeavor or whether it's something like a child, like an actual, a baby, and it's the same essence of sort of in a very earthy way, in a very practical way, providing the kind of gentle nurturing that is needed for this thing to grow. And I mean, I say thing, but children obviously aren't a thing, but they are an example of the highest level of creative expression, of course, is when we have a child. So let's get right into your spread, my lovely Leos. I'm going to say we're going to pull out anywhere from 4 to 8 3-card spreads, depending on how long I spend on each. These forecasts may resonate with you, they may not. You may resonate with multiple forecasts in different areas in your life, and that's fine too. So just take what applies to you and disregard the rest, my lovely Leos. And I myself am a Sagittarius, but I have a moon in Leo. And so oftentimes I do resonate with Leo energy very, very strongly, and certainly resonate with the Leo readings, right? Also, you can go to the full moon reading for Leo, and the description is at the link is at the top of the description. You should be able to see it viewing this video, and you can click that to go ahead to the full moon reading for November 12th, which is really happening. The energies in that reading are really happening right now, all the way up to about 4 or 5 days after the full moon, which will be around the 17th. All right, guys, let's get right into it. We have King of Pentacles, Knight of Swords, and an Empress. Okay, we've been having a lot of divine feminine, divine masculine matchups this week in the weekly readings. Quite a few readings have had powerful divine feminine Empress or Queens matched up with Kings or the Empress. Quite interesting. So you come into this week with the King of Pentacles, Leo, and so you come in feeling very, very strong financially, career-wise. You definitely have control over that side of your life. You've established yourself, right? Whether this has happened recently or not, this is the level that you're in. So this is for a Leo that is very, very prosperous right now, and that has achieved a certain level of mastery in your craft. King of Pentacles can oftentimes be benefactors and mentors. They're also great investors, and so Leo, you may indeed be resonating with this energy in a multitude of ways this week, right? And so this particular Leo who's resonating with this energy and coming into the week, looking forward, I think, on a particular idea. You're met with the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is really interesting because Knight of Swords is the great sort of, I want to say in a lot of ways, he's the motivator. He comes in, he really clears away a lot of the debris, right? He can come in with that sword. He can clear away a lot of the nonsense, the debris, whatever stuff is in the way to achieving something. He's a very dynamic, he's a very active sword. He's a very active knight, right? Knight of Swords is oftentimes comes in at a time when a particular situation requires a lot of mental effort, right? When you really have to pay attention, focus, think about things, and exert a lot of mental effort to maintain your path or your goal, right? This can come in the form of an energy that you are resonating with, or it can also come in the form of an individual who comes in and helps you to resonate with that energy. They may come in with this and serve that sort of that purpose. So they may be an individual who comes in and helps you sort of handle a particular situation, come up with a solution, and get you back on your feet and thinking clearly. I'm going to say for some of you Leos, this could indeed be the case. You're dealing with something in a particular area in your life, and I'm going to probably say that it's a career area, right? And you've already, to a certain degree, for some of you, yes, you have abundance, and you've mastered your making money and manifesting goals. You've done that perhaps in other areas of your life, or you have a certain track record. But in this particular area, you are requiring a bit more effort, right? It could be a new business that you're starting, or a new career path that you're starting. And so this week, a lot of this sort of renewed effort comes into you. This energy comes in. It could be a person who comes into you, right? It could be an individual who comes in and kind of stokes your fire, your mental, and create your mental sort of fire again. But it could just be that you resonate with this energy. You kind of catch your second wind, and you end out the week with this Empress, which is really luxuriating, right? So I want to say that as a result of some of this clear thinking, right, and this sort of, I want to say, inspirational sort of solution finding energy that comes in, you find yourself in a really nice position at the end of the week. I think you get reaffirmations that you're on the right track. Some luxury and abundance begins to come in, and you feel really, really good about yourself, right? You feel really sort of like you've made exactly the right steps, right? I'm going to say that a lot of your environment around you begins to really reflect all of the hard work that you've put into a particular endeavor. All right. And certainly for some of you, it will very much feel like you have perhaps also, for some of you, if this is related to a wedding, I'm going to say it could very well be that this Empress is also representing your divine feminine, right? So in a sense, in some ways, for some of you Leos, you have come into this week with this King of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords has been some issue that you've probably maybe had to deal with, or kind of a hurdle you've had to overcome, right, with this Knight of Swords energy in towards locking down your connection, right? Locking down your divine feminine mate, right? And perhaps moving closer to a wedding. This could be like a logistical thing that you've had to solve, and you round out the week with Empress energy in the sense that you have done what you needed to do, right? To ensure that this particular wedding or this particular, I want to say, increase in sort of commitment has been achieved, and your divine feminine is very happy with this indeed. Now, lovers, more connections, Five of Wands and Queen of Swords. Again, this is a lover connection, so you come into this week with a love connection that you want to raise to a higher level of commitment. Again, this could be involving a possible marriage, calling in your soulmate as well, right? But there is a Five of Wands that greets you, so there is a power struggle somewhere along the line. Someone is not being very honest with who they are. I'm going to say that there is some dragonfly energy at play because something is not quite clear. Somebody is not really being... there's a lot of bickering going on, right? There's a lot of fighting and bickering that's suddenly going on. And I want to say that somebody's not being completely clear, or something is not completely clear in the sense that dragonfly energy is at play. The situation has a lot of power struggle in it, but you're not, I want to say that you're not really sure why, right? Because behind the scenes, there are things going on that you may not know, Leo, right? Somebody's not telling you something. And so what's happening is the dynamic is being affected, but you're not really being given any clue as to why, right? So you end up the week with a Queen of Swords. And Queen of Swords talks about cutting away our masks, right? Cutting away our masks, cutting away the kind of false sides of ourselves that we present, putting our cards on the table and being completely honest with each other about who we are, right? And Queen of Swords, you know, she spent a lot of time learning how to be who she is, how to be happy with herself and not to pretend to be somebody else to satisfy others. And she requires that from everyone else around her also. Right? And so in this way, the situation is calling for honesty, right? The situation is for everyone to lay down their sort of like whatever that this character they've been pretending to be, and really lay their cards on the table so that you can get to the bottom of why there's suddenly all of this bickering and arguing, power struggle and angst that's being caught up in what really is a very nice soulmate connection. 7 of Cups has been everywhere, showing up now again. 4 of Swords and 4 of Wands, so 7 and 2 4s. You really desire to have a lot of stability in your relationship, Leo. And I want to say that right now you come into the week feeling like maybe you are in a connection that you have been thinking unrealistically about. I think you're beginning to doubt a particular connection in the sense, I think that you realize that you're you may be part of a love connection where you have been thinking that it will be something that it's not. You have been unrealistic perhaps in your hopes about this connection, maybe thinking that this is indeed a fairy tale soulmate connection. It's going to be perfect and beautiful. And you're realizing, I think, when you're coming into the week, realizing that this has been, you know, not realistic. Maybe you've been a little bit pie in the sky about it. Maybe you've been a little bit, you know, wishful, overly wishful about the success of a relationship or a connection that really isn't where you would like it to be. 7 of Cups is very closely related to dragonfly energy also, right? Things just simply not being what they are on the surface, but also with 7 of Cups, we really wish it to be so strongly. But I think you realize this, Leo, and so you're taking a step back from this connection this week to really strategize about how to move forward. I think for some of you Leos, you're in a relationship right now and things are not going the way you wanted them to go. You're not feeling the way you wanted to feel about this person. It could be that you started off feeling really good about it and now you're starting to have doubts because of, you know, just the way you're communicating. Maybe they're turning you off. Maybe they're starting to make you sick with the way they chew or the way they act. Something about it is starting to really turn for you, but you know it's a good connection and you really desire it to be a positive connection. So rather than just like decide to end it or decide to like, you know, let it get worse, right? You really decide to think about the next step, because 4 of Swords talks about calling a truce, pulling back a little bit, and really deciding what the next step is in a particular situation so that you can maintain the stability of that situation before it's lost. You end the week with a great connection. This works for you, Leo, because some of you end the week realizing that this is indeed your soulmate, and you guys find a way to get over this kind of like little disruptive energy that is there, the doubts that are coming in, the feeling that maybe things aren't right or ever going to be right. I think you guys fix it. And a lot of this has to do with you, Leo, pulling back and not lashing out too quickly. Remember strength, right? Remember strength energy in terms of understanding when things are too much, understanding when, you know, your emotions, your pride, your ego may be running away with you. This is all associated with Leo. 2 of Swords, Ace of Cups, and 5 of Swords. Okay, this is going to be the last one. All right, so with the 2 of Swords, again, you guys really entered the week with a feeling of sort of being undecisive, not being able to choose. You feel like you're being given an impossible choice, Leo. In some area, and I'm going to say this is in the area of love, you know, it's like something about it is something is happening in a particular connection and you just feel like there's only 2 ways this can go, right? And it's you just don't want it to be either or. This is the land of indecision. 2 of Swords is interpreted that way, but the essence with 2 of Swords is finding balance, and there's always a third solution, and the third solution is to really think about how you can balance both of these options, how you can sort of have a little bit of one to have a little bit of the other. And in this way, you really come to the right decision. This is definitely going to involve opening up your heart and really thinking outside the box and not letting yourself be sort of, have your back put up against the wall in such a way. There is always a compromise that we can find. There's always a balance that we can find. The universe is not a binary system, really. It's a system of, it's a weave, it's a fine balance of a lot of different things. And so in this way, you realize this week that maybe if you open up your heart chakra to a different possibility, you may be able to find a way through this scenario. And you're met with the Ace of Cups in the sense that there is a deep, abiding love that you have with somebody and they have with you, and it's just overflowing. And I think that this love for each other is really going to, it's going to give you I want to say it's going to give you a feeling of wanting to work for it. But unfortunately, you do end the week with a 5 of Swords, Leo. And I think for some of you, even though this is a strong soulmate connection, and even though you are trying to find a balance in two sides of this connection so that it will work, you still end up the week in defeat, in the sense that 5 of Swords talks about really just throwing your hands up. You've tried everything that you can try. You've tried communicating, and you're dealing with somebody who's just not capable of playing by the rules. They're underhanded. They use nasty tactics. They reply in kind to your actions with, actions that are just really petty. And oftentimes you can see this is the card for defeat, but it's not defeat in the way that you think. It's kind of defeat in the sense that you realize that, and in a lot of ways, it's very Leo energy. Also, you realize that the only way you can beat this person who's really using all of the tricks in the book, right, is to lower yourself to their level. And so in a very Leo way, in fact, in a very strong and stronger way, you decide not to do that. You realize that winning over this person is not a victory that you necessarily care to have. It's not important to you because it's like winning over somebody who's a child or who's petty, who resonates with toxic energy. It's not a win anyway. And so in this way, you decide to say, you know what? You have it. You win. You can see the other characters, they're walking away in disgust. A fight or a joust or whatever you want to call it, symbolic in this card with this individual. It's just not worth fighting. And in this way, you find out and you kind of really relent to the fact that some of you Leos may indeed be in a love connection with someone where the communication just isn't there. It's just not there. This person, it just has too many toxic issues. They have too many dysfunctional issues for you to be able to overcome this power struggle. 5 is the number for power struggles. We see it in all of the 5 cards, right? There's a power struggle. 5 of Wands, 5 of Cups, 5 of Pentacles. But here with the Swords, the power struggle is one over communication and ideas, and you just realize that this person is just not somebody that you can come to a harmonious kind of agreement and union with. This is not to say that this will never get better, but this is to say that this is a real realization that you come to this week. And I don't know how that's going to affect this decision. All right, guys, Leo, this is your reading, November 10th to the 16th. I do hope it resonated. If it did, please like, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I do respond to all of the comments. And don't